So it's that time of night when I start speaking again about my internal thoughts, I suppose. I'm going to be doing that yet again while playing Frostpunk, because as I said before, I really enjoy playing Frostpunk. We're gonna be giving some hope to the citizens of New London, because that's going to be the name of the new last city on Earth that we're currently building. The topic that I really wanted to discuss today is that I think we're currently living in the world where being down to earth and being quote unquote humble is becoming the new trend in modern societies, in modern literally everything. I have noticed a big influx of YouTubers or companies that are trying to look just as down to earth as possible, in a sense that they try to pretend that they understand the struggles of what it feels to be, for example, just unhappy, or how it feels to be a normal person. I don't know if any of you noticed, but a lot of companies, they are like trying to post memes about their product or something like that. Like, I remember Duolingo used to, or they still do, I'm not sure. They used to post a lot of like a lot of memes which are supposed to be relatable in some weird way to people, to basically try and appear as if Duolingo is a friend or something like that. They would reply to every person, they will just generally speak to people through their Twitter account. And many other companies now do that, do the same thing. But what I did notice is that previously it used to be just companies which did something like that. But now we see some YouTubers who are trying to be down to earth, but they're trying to be relatable. But if you check their, you know, YouTube stats, YouTube socials, how much money they make, it really doesn't give me much of, you know, relatability to them. Because, for example, there's Asmongold, right? And most of his content is just posting about politics, because politics are the most profitable, I don't know how to say that, the most profitable information out there, because we live in the world where only information matters. The people that control information, they control the world. It used to be that knowledge controls the world, like knowledge is the power, but we're straying away from that. I think it's more and more about just info. Because the more info you have on someone, the more power you have over them. Like, look at Google, for example. They probably know more about all of us than we know about ourselves. Because they got information from like millions of sources. There's so much architecture online which is built on top of the Google architecture. Like it or not, but we all in some way use Google. Even like, for example, there are different search engines like DuckDuckGo and stuff like that. There's Bing, and all of them, they do use the same search system as Google does. We all kinda use Google in some way. Like, I need Google account for, you know, having my YouTube channel, which is quite an extent, in a sense that it's not like I'm some sort of big YouTuber who's making millions a day while talking about topics that I am not really interested in, just to get that 8-minute or 10-minute ad revenue. Because I notice myself watching various YouTubers sometimes, and the majority of them, they kind of feel copy-pasted. In a sense that I watch them, but they all feel the same. They try to talk as much as possible about the topic that they feel like it's gonna make them a lot of numbers, you know? I see a lot of people praising Moist Critical, but I don't really like him. I used to watch his content for a long while actually, but nowadays it doesn't feel like I enjoy even seeing him anymore. In a sense that all of his videos are now 8 minutes long, 10 minutes long, because how YouTube works is that if you have an 8-minute or 10-minute mark video, you can get mid-roll ads, and the mid-roll ads are gonna make you a lot of money per view on your YouTube channel. And I don't like listening to channels that are just talking way too much in a sense that they don't have to talk about it, yet they still do. They don't have to talk about the topic as much as they do, yet they talk about it regardless because it's gonna make them a little bit more money. Which I kinda can understand, you know, we all live in capitalistic societies in one way or another. I don't know a single first world or second world country which is not being capitalistic. Like, we all depend on money. I'm not that stupid, I realize that, okay? But I don't think Asmongold or Moist Critical needs another few millions to be happy or to do things that they do. I'm pretty sure Charlie, Moist Critical, he's got like an esports scene that he is funding or founded. I'm not sure about it. But I don't know, dude. I just don't think that it's okay to talk way more than you need about the topic just because they want even more money out of your video. YouTube never paid me anything because I am not in partnership with YouTube. So, I don't know, maybe if I made any money from YouTube, if they paid me for any views, maybe I'd understand them even more, but as of now, it just feels like majority of YouTubers nowadays are being disgenuine, like completely not genuine with their audience. And it sucks because, as I said, it feels like being down to earth is the new trend. Lots of people praise Asmongold. I was told by many people that he's basically the best YouTuber in the entire world. But I check out his channel and it's just politics. There's just lots of politics. And I was very confused. I was like, this is the best YouTuber I'm supposed to be like rooting for or something. Because I don't know about y'all, but in my opinion, politics are just created to to flood people's minds with useless information that they don't really need. And by politics I mean just people that discuss absolutely pointless stuff. Absolutely pointless. I can see why some people might care about it, like for example boomers. I can see why. Because it feels nice to think that you have some sort of control over who's gonna be elected or something like that. Maybe I'm just doom-piled, which is probably the case, but I always felt like if elections were actually genuine in really any country in the world, if they actually mattered, and if they actually made some impact, if every single vote actually mattered, I think elections will never become a concept. If they actually mattered. I don't think any king from medieval era or something like that would want peasants to be able to choose whether he should stay or not. And I find a lot of parallels with medieval times and the modern times. Like for example how majority of modern jobs are kind of just... they're as good as slavery in some cases, really. It feels like some jobs were made to be miserable. They're just designed to make you go away as soon as possible. Maybe I'm just missing something. Maybe I'm missing some context on some of the jobs in this world. But it feels like some of them are literally designed to make you go so that another person could come and basically switch you up. Maybe I'm just a fucking schizophrenic and I don't understand anything about this world. But I could see that to some jobs it's maybe a lot better to make you go away as soon as possible. Because there's gonna be a new person who's gonna be, you know, more willing to work harder than you do or something like that. They're gonna be having a more positive outlook on the world and working conditions and stuff like that. Anyway, I've noticed some YouTubers who are basically using genuinity, being genuine, I'm sorry, being genuine as basically a marketing strategy. Like they're not actually genuine, but they LARP as hard as they can to seem as genuine as possible. Yet you see them talk about stuff for like exactly 8 minutes or for exactly 10 minutes. And like sure, maybe they are genuine, but exactly 8 minutes and 1 second or exactly 10 minutes and 1 second. Kinda... it's kinda weird. It's kind of weird. It makes me, you know... it makes me really scratch my head when I see that damn number. When I see someone having that exact same number on their video. I kind of just... when I see a video and it's exactly 8 minutes long or 10 minutes long, I just skip it. It doesn't matter if it's actually good or not. I value my time, and if the video is exactly 8 minutes long, that just means it was made specifically to drag it out to the ad revenue timestamp. I kind of value my time. As little respect I have for myself, I still value my time. Like, I only got so much time on this planet, you know? And I wanna spend it at least having fun or learning something that's gonna be actually useful instead of hearing someone, you know, talking about the same thing for like quadrillionth time because he wants a little bit more money from YouTube. I don't have like exact numbers on how much money Most Critical makes or Asmongold, but I know it's millions. I'm not sure if it's... I'm not sure if they really need that much money. No, maybe I'm just overextending or something like that. I have no idea, but it still makes me weird when I see that exact number on anyone's video. It doesn't even matter how charismatic or funny the person is or how interesting the topic that they're talking about is. I still feel weird. It just makes me feel weird. But I've seen other YouTubers, like aside from those two, aside from Asmongold and Most Critical, I mean, who are doing the same thing, but they have a little bit less subscribers. Not even a little bit, just a lot less subscribers. Yet they still do that thing. And they try to talk about, you know, real world issues. And they also drag the video to exactly 8 to 10 minute mark. I don't know. It just makes me feel weird. It makes me feel very weird. They need to make money, they need to, you know, feed themselves. But if I was making like 1,000 USD or something like that, some crazy number like that, a month, I'd probably just... I'd spend like 400 USD to just live, and I'd spend the over 600 to increase my production, to buy like a green screen, a fucking webcam, a better microphone. You know? I just don't feel like they needed to increase any production value. I don't think I've ever seen Charlie do any video editing whatsoever. Which, you know, I'm not a professional video editor in any sense, I am not. But, you know, just a little bit editing to at least show something is not gonna hurt him. And I get it, he does show the stuff he's talking about sometimes, but sometimes he just doesn't. And then I feel kind of left out on the topic. Which is weird because I'm currently unemployed. Which is weird. I'm supposed to be knowing about everything. Although, for the past few years I do feel like I can't really keep up with all the drama, with all the news, with all the everything. Maybe that's just how it feels to you know, get old. Because apparently being 21 years old nowadays is like being 60. I've met so many people who call me Unk, which makes my skin crawl sometimes. Because it's like, I still don't feel like I'm an adult in the sense that I understand what I'm doing. Majority of the times, I actually feel like I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I'm figuring things out. That's kind of how I feel. But yeah, it just feels weird when I see a person who's talking about societal issues or issues just in general. About the modern world, and their video is exactly 10 minutes. And then they just swiftly, goodbye guys. And then video fucking ends. It's like they have a timer on their screen. and they're just literally counting down when the timer's gonna hit 10-minute mark or 8-minute mark, so they can finish the recording, post it, feed the algorithms, and get their paycheck. Which is, as I said, it's understandable, but at least make it a little bit less on the nose. Because it feels like those people, they just treat their you know, their viewers as economical product or something like that, just a way to make a quick buck. And YouTube was, you know, at least in my opinion, YouTube was always about connecting to some extent with the YouTubers that you're watching. To feel some sort of connection, in a sense that you can watch their life, you can check them out, you can sort of, you know, pretend that you know who they are. But nowadays it just feels a lot more commercialized, you know? A lot more commercial in a sense that it feels like majority of people here are plainly for the money. Majority. That's the key word, majority. I watch plenty of YouTubers who are actually here for the art or for the creation or for animation and stuff like that, and I respect them a lot. Like, it's probably gonna be quite difficult for me to think about it right now, but for example, James Lee, I really love watching that dude. His content is just on a completely different level. It's just completely different level, and he's one of the more recent videos about him switching to Linux and trying out DaVinci Resolve, trying out Linux Mint. It was so much fun, and it doesn't really feel like he's making it for the money, even though it has an 8-minute mark, because it's actually insightful, it's actually fun to watch, it's actually pleasant to listen. It doesn't feel like I'm being used, like my free time is being used for the sake of making more ad revenue. That's kind of what I feel like I'm trying to tell. And as I said, yet again, I can't hate people who do that because they need to feed themselves. But what I can't understand are the people who don't really need even more money than they already have, yet they do that thing regardless. But what do I know? I'm not a businessman, I don't have a manager, I don't really have a hope that my channel's gonna hit big or something like that. I did make some views when I posted some Stellaris memes, and I felt really happy, even though around the same time I started like going to the mental hospital to tend to my issues. And when I saw a lot of views on my channel, a lot of comments on the mid-game crisis Stellaris meme that I posted, I felt so inspired, even though I had a really terrible PC. I had a PC which had AMD FX 4350 quad-core, GTX 950, and 12 GB DDR3 RAM. It was very slow because video editing software is really heavy. Majority of video editing software is really healthy. Not healthy, heavy. I'm sorry. It's really heavy. It uses a lot of resources to function. And I sort of had to use that junk. That was fun. It was so much fun to like make people laugh, because I'd never think that anyone's gonna find my my meme's funny, which is probably true right now. Maybe just algorithms chose me or something like that. That's most definitely true. Most likely true. But it was still really fun. It was very fun to see a lot of attention. Positive attention, that is. Of people just commenting and having fun with the memes that I made in Premiere Pro. And because like even the smallest memes that I've made, they took at least 5 or 6 days to make, of like 10 hours a day work, because my PC was just so fucking terrible. I had to spend like half an hour to render at least one frame in some cases, if it was like, you know, effect heavy. If there were a lot of effects and stuff like that, I had to wait like half an hour to just render one frame. And when that was happening, I'd usually just be watching guides or videos on my phone. Guides on Premiere Pro, because I used Premiere Pro back then. Nowadays I mostly use... Not mostly, I use DaVinci Resolve. Because I find DaVinci Resolve much more promising. And much better in what I need to achieve from my editing. What I'm trying to say is it matches my needs a lot more than Premiere Pro does nowadays. I wish I was a lot more tech savvy back then, because if I knew more about tech back then, I'd just use KDE Live. Because KDE Live is a really good editing software developed by KDE. And it's relatively lightweight. And it will still probably really suit my needs. In a sense that I had a terrible PC and, you know, I needed more resources. More resources for my for my creations, if you can call them that. And I feel like KDE Live will have suited me a lot more. So yeah, wish I knew about it back then. Regardless of that, I just feel like majority of YouTubers who post videos nowadays, they're not doing it out of, you know, genuine passion or genuine care for the craft of, like, you know, bringing something new, or at least voicing an opinion that will not feel like I'm listening to an Andrew Tate podcast that needs to be exactly 10 minutes long in order for it to matter or something. But regardless, they can do whatever they want. It's not like I'm gonna be actually hating on those people. I don't hate them. They're making money. They need to make money. Everyone does. So they can do whatever they want. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna like them. I'm still not gonna like them. I'm not gonna like watching the content which is made to just grab my attention for 10 minutes. For exactly 10 minutes. I just wish more people made some genuine videos, like back in the old era of the internet. Let them be. Because what I do like about old internet is that it felt like a lot more people were genuine and honest about themselves. and a lot more genuine about like literally everything, in a sense that no one tried to really insult anyone, to actually like speak out their minds. But nowadays it feels like majority of the discussions or majority of people are using the strategy of us versus them. It's a strategy developed actually by cults to, you know, indoctrinate people into their religions or something like that. And I see a lot of people using that strategy to communicate their opinion, to basically present themselves or their opinions as something better or more equal to others, so that it will reach out to as many people as possible. And I'm probably sounding like a complete schizo right now, but that's just how I felt for the past few years about YouTube. And not just YouTube, a lot of other stuff. What I also think is that a lot more people need to just chill out. They need to stop caring as much about what others think. I find it weird how some people believe that everyone should be agreeing with them, and if you disagree, you need to like literally die. You need to die and burn in hell. Something like that. Because I don't know, I think it's okay to disagree with someone. It's not like you can like change their mind. You can't change the mind of anyone if they don't wanna. If someone doesn't want to change their mind, they're just never gonna do that. No matter how many arguments you present to the person, if they don't wanna change, they're just not gonna. They're not gonna bother. And neither should anyone, really. It doesn't matter if someone agrees or not. That's kind of what helped me to actually record at least something. Because I'm sure someone's gonna eventually leave a comment saying that like, boo! Your accent sucks! You can't speak! Go back to your homeland or something. Someone eventually probably gonna comment something like that. And when that's gonna happen, I'm not gonna react. Because I don't need to convince anyone of anything. I can be cringe, you know? I can be, you know, I can be cringe, but I'd also prefer to be free. Free of anyone's judgment. Anyone can judge me for as long as they want. And if they do, that's their fucking choice. Because I thought to myself, like, even if someone's gonna comment something like that, at least I'm actually doing something, you know? I'm not just trying to make someone feel bad. Or make someone, you know, quit doing something that they enjoy. I'm working on my accent, I'm trying to speak my mind, I'm trying to work to something that may or may not gonna make me happy. And what's gonna make me happy is just being able to present some of my thoughts. Because the world is really unstable right now, and you can never be sure about what's gonna happen in the world. Like, there's no way to know what's gonna be in a year or 2 years. 5 years, 10 years. It's impossible to predict anything nowadays. Everything is just really, really difficult in that regard. I'm gonna keep posting these videos, even if no one's gonna really enjoy them or anything like that. I'm having some fun. I'm presenting some of my thoughts. And I do feel kind of better after I post them, in a sense that I feel a little bit fulfilled that I've actually spoke my mind instead of just, you know, sitting in one spot and not doing anything. Because you can always tell yourself that you're not gonna be... Let him speak. That you're not gonna be able to do something, that you're gonna fail, that you're gonna eventually, you know, crumble or something like that. But I usually find myself having a lot less trouble actually trying to do something when I actually do it. Let me rephrase that. I probably sound completely insane right now. I find the idea of starting doing something new a lot more scary than actually doing something that I'm scared of. So if, for example, I'm scared of starting trying to learn how to do 3D models. But when I actually start doing 3D models, I'm having a blast, like I'm not scared anymore. You know what I mean? It's like I find myself a lot more scared of the idea of trying something new instead of actually doing something new. And right now I'm doing something new. And I was scared. I was scared for a long while of actually posting anything on my YouTube. Because I always thought to myself like, oh, I'm gonna post it and everyone's gonna fucking comment how much I suck, how they can't understand a single fucking word I say, that no one fucking gets the thoughts that I'm saying, especially on this goddamn language. You know? But right now I feel a little bit at peace. I feel chill. I feel fine. Because I'm actually doing something. Because instead of actually doing something, I could have just, you know, sat in my chair and kept thinking to myself how everyone are gonna hate me and everyone gonna fucking comment rude and mean things to me, instead of like actually giving it a try. And I'm gonna keep giving it a try. Because who knows, man. Like, for example, I suck at 3D modeling. But maybe if I'll keep doing 3D modeling, maybe eventually I'm gonna become good at it. I suck at coding, but maybe if I'm gonna keep trying and doing it again and again and again, I'll eventually get good at it, you know? You never know if you're good at something unless you actually try it. That's kind of how I felt about Linux, for example. I always thought to myself like, oh, Linux is just too difficult for me. If I'm gonna try running Linux, I'm gonna completely fumble it. I'm not gonna be able to do anything. Because you need coding, you need this, you need that, you need everything to actually use Linux. But then I actually gave it a try, and as boldly as it was of me, I installed Arch Linux as my first Linux distro, and I still use it to this day. And it's really fun. Now I find myself a lot more times being, you know, happy about actually using Linux, because it opened my eyes to a whole new world of computing, of computer systems, operating systems, however you like to call it. Let them be. So, for example, what I also struggled with are, as I said before, my parents. I tried way too hard to make them proud of me and to make them praise me for anything that I do, because I wanted them to say that I'm like that I'm a good son, that I'm actually like doing something in my life. To be like all the other kids, because they always compared me to other children, like, oh, look how this kid learns coding, look how this kid learns biology, comparing me to other children and stuff like that when I was a kid. But when I truly felt happy is when I started doing something and I didn't seek validation from it. Because I feel like if you do something purely to seek validation, that's already an issue. You shouldn't be seeking for validation from anyone. If you enjoy doing something, just do it. Don't expect anyone to pat you on the back and tell you like, oh, you're so cool and smart, you're so good at it. Never expect anyone to say that. I did. For a long while I expected like praise for anything that I do. Because I wanted like someone to feel proud of me. That's completely fatherless behavior by me, by the way. We're gonna risk it, but we gotta save those people. They fucking died. But we saved people, you know? We saved those people. So that's cool. It's always nice. It's really inspiring how they actually sacrifice themselves. I could have saved Scammed and, you know, save those 5 scouts. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be safe scamming. Because safe scamming is cringe. So, regardless of how anyone feels or thinks, regardless if you're gonna get praise for it or not, just do what makes you feel happy. Whoever you are, the person that's gonna be or not gonna be listening to this, never seek for anyone's validation. Do what makes you feel happy. Because if you won't, then you're never gonna be happy. Feeling happy should never come from internal, you know. Happiness should never come from the outside world, it should always come from the internal part of your mind. It should always come from the inside. It should come from you, not from anyone else. If we're gonna be always like trying to seek validation from others, we're just gonna find ourselves to be really unhappy. I'm sure that majority of the people started by just doing what they enjoy, and I mean majority of successful people. They became successful because they were just doing what they enjoyed most. And I, for example, never enjoyed anything. I was just doing and trying everything to at least attempt and try to make someone feel proud of me or feel like, you know, like I'm more valuable than someone else, because I wanted to feel valuable. To be valuable as a friend, as a partner, as anyone really. So yeah, never never do that thing. You're just gonna find yourself stuck in a really unhappy and boring world where you don't enjoy anything, and everything that you do is gonna be like pretty dull because nothing actually makes you feel happy. Everything is just tied to how much praise you get or how much money you make. That's kind of what I feel some millionaires feel. They got lots of money, but they got no respect from anyone, so they just try to flex their cash and influence on social media and all that stuff. And it's really weird and cringe. No one likes it. So they think that if they're gonna show people their wealth, they're gonna become happier because they think that people gonna try to talk more to them. But usually it happens the other way around. It usually never does. We're gonna build a cemetery because we love people in this fucking city. We love them. They deserve a good cemetery. I find it so poetic how the people of Frostpunk, despite living in literally the frozen hellhole, they're still fighting to seek some normalcy in their life, in their new life. It's like they know that they've lost everything. They've lost the normalcy of their world. They know that they live in the absolute chaos, in absolute apocalypse. Yet they still try to find normalcy, and you can see that in their architecture. They don't really need those lamps, for example. They don't need them, because the generator is already illuminating their streets. But those lamps, they're like, you know, they're showing some hope, some normalcy in their not normal world. And I feel like all of us need to learn how to be like Frostpunk people. Because we do live in a crazy world. We live in a really crazy world where a lot of stuff just doesn't make any sense. But I feel like the best thing we can all do is just try and find normalcy in the not normal world. Because that way we can actually properly gauge what's right and what's not. We can actually learn how to value things that we have or things that we don't have. That's why some philosophers present immortality as this sort of curse and a blessing. It's like a curse in disguise. Because yes, when you are immortal, you can technically have infinite of everything. But like eventually that infinite of everything is gonna become just boring, because you have infinite of everything and nothing is exciting anymore. You're gonna have infinite everything. There's nothing to be excited about. Nothing's gonna change in a drastic way for you. Maybe that's why, like, you know, some Greek gods are always depicted as those bored and really stupid people, because they're just bored as fuck. They're trying to do as much dumb shit as possible to at least do something exciting. But maybe I'm being completely wrong. Maybe I'm just completely wrong. Who knows? Maybe I should read more books. Maybe I should read more books. But regardless, thanks to anyone who was watching. And thank you so much for listening. If someone listened through all of this, thank you. And I wish I could say I'll see you all on the next one, but I have no idea if I'm gonna get like 1 view, 10 views, or something like that. But you know what I mean. I'll see you all next time. Thank you.